Hey guys, now it's time to talk about some other sources that we got to use in order to enhance our DPS. And one thing I would love to talk about is the DPS Bot or the Compare Bot feature, which they're off the same site. They're really great. Compare Bot's good for if you want to compare two parses together. This is where you're going to get to the crunch time of, hey, how come so-and-so's doing much more than I am, and what can I do to get up to where so-and-so's doing, or better. And this is exactly what you want to do. So now in order to do that, we're just going to go to Google and just type in DPS Bot. So DPS Bot, if you know the website, I think it's right there, raidbots.com. So you would select it, and what DPS Bot does at the get-go, it shows you overall DPS on heroic fights for top 100 parses, and you can look at them for 25 heroics, you can open it up for 25 normals, and you can select that fight, and it shows you where you should be ranking as a DPS based on your class and stuff like that. Like right now, fire mages are at the top as far as points are concerned for parses, and then arms warriors are third, and our K mages are third from the bottom. So these are the things that you want to go ahead and look for. So just to show you a brief overview of where your DPS should lie based on these parses, let's look at something we're very fluent in doing, which is heroic Morchok on 25. And here are the top 100 parses for heroic Morchok within the last 14-day medium stream. So this is where you should lie. Like if you're not within that range, where for example if an unholy DK is beating me as an arms warrior, then that's fine. But if I'm beating the unholy DK by a huge margin, that means he's definitely not where he needs to be. So that's one way to interpret it. This is just, again, a reference for where you should be doing, and that's a pretty good reference. And you have them for all types of fights, all sorts of things, and you can definitely include healers, all forms of DPS, any kind of setup that you do. There are some little things that it does show you here, but it actually, what it does is really cool. It actually links you those logs for those current setups to that person or those people in that range. But the more impressive thing that this website has to show you is the Compare Bot feature. So what you see here is you see these little parse URL strips, and then you see the Compare Parses button. So what it does is that you're allowed to get two different parses from two different people, or even yourself, just in two different instances, and you can compare them to see if you were doing better in one time than another, or somebody's doing way significantly more than you. So right now what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you a comparison between Cybelda and I when we both were playing Fury on Altraxian, so we can see the differences in where our DPS would lie. And sorry, Cy, I'm just using it as an example. So let's go to World of Logs, and we're going to pull that up. Pull our little list here. First, we gotta find mine from when we did Altraxian. I believe this is the one. So there I am with the Altraxian parse. So now what you can do is that you can select the ranking parse and see where that person's coming from. You'd have to specifically select that person in order to get that parse. So now we actually have that parse for that person. So you would just copy and paste the one parse in that list, and you can name it something. I'm just going to name it Kurgi Fury, and then we're going to go ahead and go back and look at a more recent parse of Psy on Altraxian. So again, what you do is you go to the Altraxian parse that you're looking for, the one that you're interested in, and you look for the person that you're interested in. And now we have that parse. So all we do now is input that parse the same way we did as the last one. We copy and paste it, and you can name it whatever you want. And then once you're done, you compare parses. So what you see now is you see a direct comparison between two classes of the exact same type, and I did it for this because you want to have similar specs, you want to have similar time ranges. Unfortunately, these ranges of time are not similar, but it does show you a kind of comparison on a few things. It'll show you your total damage output, the DPS output, the dates, times, if it was a wipe, what you named it. And the first part is summary. It shows you like all these really important buffs that you got, and you can see like differences in what happened. Now, honestly, this is a different parse, and it was a wipe, and it was an issue because of Meaty's logging off. So this is probably a very poor example, but we're just using it as an example for now to see what's going on. And now you can see all these little tabs that you have here, and they're just a multitude of information. The first one would have is damage, and this is where you can see really your big damage breakdown. What was doing more than somebody else? And this is actually crucial for when you want to see what a top 100 person is doing compared to you if you're not up to that level, and what you can do to improve it, because you can see whether they're very similar in range or they're just worlds apart. For example, me and Sai's slams across the fights are very similar, but take into account that my fight was almost twice as long as his, and his was much more frequent. So, be that as it may have been more procs, may have been not been. So there's a chance for that. Now, you can take a look at the, you can actually add more things onto it, but let's take a look at the damage taken, and you can see all these things that were happening. On mine, I had a spirit link, but again, longer fight, more things were happening, so you can take that into consideration. I actually got hit twice, possibly by the boss pulling aggro. You know, that could have been it. The amount of healing that was done compared to us, and since we only have one really true heal to ourselves, we can see who is healing more or not. Again, longer fight, more heals, so that's more effective. Healing taken, you have your targets, what damage output where it's coming from, healing targets. There's a whole multitude of things. You can now check here as well your uptimes on things. Like if you want to see for a elemental shaman or a druid what your clear casting procs were, this is a pretty good way to compare it and see what your uptime was. Similar to what World of Logs does, you can actually see the uptime on that. But one thing that World of Logs doesn't do, it doesn't show you comparatively side by side on uptimes and stuff like that. This is where this gets really easy and really awesome to view things, and this gets more crucial and down right to the answer. Again, we got debuffs, and you have power gains. So you want to use this as an incredible tool of an illumination. So I definitely recommend it. I believe you can only get up to a max of 3 comparisons at a time. I'm not sure if you can exceed that more. There's also other features that Compare Bot does. It does a full raid parse, so you can get the entire summary of what happened in that night. It's pretty good for all of the things. You can bookmark certain things, you know, it's crazy. You know, you have all these things, and you even have recent comparisons. Ultraction 25 normal Kurgi from Dow, inside Belta from Dow. These things are recording all this information that you have, so it's pretty impressive. So that's all I have for the Compare Bot feature, so I recommend you use it. Alright, until next time guys, take it easy.